Well, a very warm welcome to each one of you to another session on Monster RecRoute. I want to welcome participants from India, Gulf, and the Southeast Asia. Monster RecRoute is an initiative by Monster.com to connect HR leaders with aspirational talent acquisition professionals through a series of live webinar sessions. The idea is to share the learnings, trends, and best practices to empower and enable them to keep up with the fast-changing recruiting industry. But before we go ahead and welcome you to another action-packed session, which is session number 5, I'd like to talk about Zuno. I'm excited to inform you about Zuno, which is launched by Monster, India's leading platform for students and freshers to find paid partnerships and fresher jobs. Zuno has well-curated jobs and internship by companies like Clear, Spinny, Book My Show, Lenskart, Motilal Oswal, Co-Mechanic, which are again verified by us. And Zuno's vision is to enable every student on their journey from college to placement to help them find their best possible first job. We want to complement their academic journey with real professional experience. It is an opportunity for them to learn and earn as well. Well, for employers, Zuno offers verified interns, assessment scores with access to top percentile candidates, off-campus placements, branding for companies to engage and brand themselves as employers or brand among students. Well, I also want to add on over here and mention, in case you want to know more about Zuno, you may visit Zuno website and contact us. The information is mentioned on the slide, so please go ahead and reach out to us in case you need any help on these related aspects. Well, before we move on, I want to now welcome you all again to today's session, and let me introduce to the topic for today, attracting in-demand talent in a competitive job market. Well, if you look at attracting and recruiting top talent in a hyper-competitive job market, is a challenge for talent acquisition professionals today. So how do you find someone who is not only great at work, but also a good fit for your organization when it comes to company culture and values? To talk more about this topic, let me introduce today's speaker, Manish Khanolkar, HR consultant, trainer, and public speaker. Well, let me also give you a brief introduction about the speaker. An alumnus of XLRI Jamshedpur, Manish has been recognized as one of the top 100 HR professionals in India by Zoom. With a rich and varied experience of over 17 years, Manish has consulted various organizations such as PepsiCo, ITC, Interglobe Aviation, Godrej, VIP Industries, Alcatel, Lucent. Manish has also been a part of Toastmasters International, an organization that promotes public speaking, communication, and leadership skills. Well, over to you, Manish. We welcome you here. Thank you so much for joining with us today.
Yeah. So thank you, Noel, and good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and depending on which part of the world you're from, logging from, so good morning as well. And welcome to this session, which is going to be about attracting in-demand talent, in a competitive job market. The question is, how do you attract talent, in a competitive job market? And today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my experience of how whichever companies of which I have worked with, how we used to attract talent, and I'm also going to share with you about my consulting experience of the last couple of years as to whichever companies I have consulted. What is it that we have done to attract talent? So I've worked with different segments. I've worked with consulting. I've worked with IT as and a startup, and I worked with manufacturing. So that was the initial part of my career. And for the last about 4 years, I've been doing HR and training consulting for SMEs and some mid-sized organizations as well. So what is it that currently we are doing? So this is what I will talk about. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can share it in the Q&A, and definitely we'll be interacting through the chat. So before I go ahead, I just quickly want to do a quick check. Just want to check from which all part of the world are you in. So just type your country, and if you can type your city and your country, that would be great. Yeah. So in the chat box, you can just type. We have close to about a good number of people. So in the chat. Okay, we are from Chennai, India. We are from Kuala Lumpur, Philippines. Okay, Manila, Bangalore, Dubai, Qatar. Okay, NCR, Hyderabad, Dubai, Jaipur, Kochi, Johannesburg. There's someone from Johannesburg as well. Okay, Dubai. Okay, great. Oman, Muscat. Nice, really nice. Singapore. Okay, great. Good to know that we've got people from different parts of the world. So nice to meet you. And we will use this chat for interaction. And if you have questions, then type them in the Q&A. Don't type the answers in the Q&A. I will just yeah. And type your questions in the Q&A section, and I will take them as and how we proceed. And we have a question answer session at the end of the session as well. We've kept about 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A as well. Okay, so moving ahead, let me share my screen. So just give me a moment while I just share my screen. Okay, and here we go. Yeah. So let's look at what is it that we're going to talk about in the session. So first and foremost, we're going to discuss about why talent is the differentiator. So what's the great differentiator? How talent plays a big role in out there. We'll talk about where to find the right talent. So if you're looking for talent, where exactly are you going to find? So this talks about, as an organization, what is it that you can do to look at some of the places where you can find talent. And I'll share with you some really different things what organizations have done to really find a pool of talent which no one had tapped about, or no one even thought about it. How to find? So now you know where you have, where the talent is. The question is, how are you going to get there? What are the tools which you're going to use to find there? So that is what you're going to look out there, and we'll also look at how to attract talent. Now that you've found the talent, the question now remains how to get that talent into your organization. So what exactly are you going to do, to get that talent? So that is what we will look at. So first, let's talk about talent being a differentiator. And I'm just going to stop my share. See, why talent is important. I mean, you are recruiters, you all must be aware, must know. I don't need to tell you this. But if you look at today's competitive world, product differentiation is not there. Product differentiation is hardly anything, unless if you are into something like a semiconductor, you're into highly technological type of industry where you have some patents, etc. Then you can do product differentiation. Otherwise, whatever one company is bringing in, the other company brings in immediately to the market within almost at the same time, if not a little bit later. But so your product differentiation strategy is not going to work. Then what works? How is it that your company is going to grow? Your company is going to grow because your employees are the ones who are going to make it grow. So the question is, what kind of employees, what kind of talent do you have in your organization, and how are they driving growth? Are your employees hungry for growth? And this is one of the differentiators which differentiates an organization from someone who's growing faster and someone who's not growing faster. Is the organization hungry? Okay, that's the question. Now, is the organization hungry in the sense, are the employees also hungry? You require hungry employees also. If you've got satisfied, relaxed, cool employees in your organization, there is no hunger for them to grow. Your organization, come what may, is not going to grow. And we've seen that If I were to take the case of India as an example, we've seen that in some of the public sector undertakings. I'm sure that would be the case in governments across the world as well, in some government-owned organizations, because their purpose is different. Their purpose is stability. So there's no hunger for growth, and if there's no hunger for growth, obviously the talent out there, you would not that talent would not be able to drive that. Now, where did the challenge actually start emerging? Been there for some time, got accelerated in I would say the last couple of years, especially when the Great Resignation started to happen. That was the time it actually really started to hit organizations. Okay, so there's a war for top talent, which is there, and on top of that, you have people who have said that, okay, we don't want to work. Okay, so how do you get people? First, it was identifying the right kind of people. Now you want people who are also willing to work, because people are moving away. Okay, and they're not interested actually in going for jobs. And some data, some statistics in US, it was said that around 20.2 million employees have quit in the year 2021. That's last year, and the numbers are pretty high. The effects have spread across industries, and the effects are pretty mind-blowing. So if there's a great resignation which is happening in the US, what's happening in India? I'll tell you how it spirals out. And this was one example, one such situation, which then I'm going to just stop my share for a moment. One example, which was one incident which was shared with me by one of my colleagues who's at a very senior position in an IT industry. And I was talking to him about, how is his organization going, and he says, he was actually worried. Yeah. And I said, okay, what's your concern? He says, three of my, in his team of about 15 people, about 3 to 4 people have resigned, and they've resigned at the same time. Okay, and he says that's one part of it, but the second part is even more worrisome. He says, after their resignations, obviously they followed the system of getting new employees on board. And he says, we do the interviews, we do everything, and then it all boils down to the employee, the prospective employee actually coming and telling us, look, I've got so much offer from so and so company, how much are you giving me? So that kind of negotiations, which is what is happening. What do I do? And that was his question to me. So this is what is happening in the job market, which probably some of you also, or your organizations also, may have faced. So how many of your organizations face this kind of a problem? You can just type so it's your organization which faces this kind of problem, where the candidate comes and tells me, I'm getting this offer, how much are you offering? Let's see, I don't have a okay. Yeah, okay, fair amount. They're almost about 50%, 40 to 50% from what I can see out here. Many 40 to 50% of the people are actually saying that their organizations are facing this kind of problem. Yes, it is. So it is a real problem, where your new candidate will come and tell you, this is my offer, what is it that you're offering? And that does happen. So what are some of the reasons? What are some of the reasons of I'm again going to share what are some of the reasons of the Great Resignation, or why is it that we are having this this era where people are moving out from work? And a couple of things to explore. Something which happened in the pandemic, something which happened during the pandemic, and one of the things which happened was people started focusing on work and life. They started becoming fearful. All of a sudden you have something massive scale, which people of this generation has never seen before. It happens once in 100 years. So people have never seen that, and they are all shocked, and suddenly for them life becomes more important, and they say, okay, I don't need to run after something, I'm okay, but I need to focus on my family. So their priorities change. And that was one of the reasons of the Great Resignation. That is shift in priorities. People started moving from just a work life to a work life balance. Okay. Another thing which happened in the pandemic was that flexible working conditions started coming in. I mean, there are organizations. So one big IT organization, which is what I'm consulting, and their employees were telling me something very interesting. They said that in our organization 2.5 years ago, that is before the lockdown, before the pandemic struck, there was a no work from home policy. So you can't work from home, you have to come to office, okay, if you have got to work. And suddenly he says the pandemic hit, and we had a work from home, and everyone is working from home, and now we are doing good. And towards the end, he said now people don't want to come back. Okay, people don't want to come back to work because they went to their hometown. I mean, they were staying in the city, they were paying rent, so they just gave away their houses, and they went back to their hometowns, and they were working from their hometown. They're working from their house. Some of them went to their parents' house, some of them went to their grandparents' house, and they were liking it, and it was productive. So people started moving out. People started moving to organizations which are offering this. You get a better lifestyle. So lifestyle became more important rather than just when I say better lifestyle, it's not in terms of money, it's in terms of quality time with the people around, especially with family. If you can get quality life out there. So this was one of the reasons which happened. Moving to smaller cities, so people have started going to smaller cities. Again, I'm talking especially with respect to India. Why they have started moving to smaller cities? They find the life out there is much more better. There is quality of life. In large cities, you get stuck in traffic jams, and you're more like running for right in the morning till late in the evening. Life is just running around. In smaller cities, life is much better. And I myself, for one, have moved from a bigger city to a smaller city, and I understand the benefits of moving out there. So people have moved to smaller cities, and there are uncertain times, so you don't know what is going to happen. So because of that, obviously the great resignation takes place, and it puts all of us into some sort of a challenge. Okay, now the question is, this all is happening. While this all is happening, we can't we can't stop our work. We have to look for talent. Okay, we have to, if we have someone who says that I'm moving out, obviously we have first, obviously, our own ways, trying to look at how critical the position is, to look at whether we can retain. If retention is not possible, obviously we have to let the person go, but then we have to find a replacement. So where do we find talent? Okay, the first question is, I would like to ask you, is your own company. How many people out here who are working in various organizations have a great referral scheme? Type down RS, that is a referral scheme. RS, referral scheme. So you've got a great referral program. Let me see. Okay, 1, 2, 3, RF, 4, 5, 6, 8. Okay. So when I say great referral program, I mean you're getting referrals, and that's helping your organization cut down. Okay, that's a great referral scheme. Not that you have a great scheme, but no one is using it. Okay, so we have about quite about 30% is what I can say. See, if you want to find talent, why stress on a great referral scheme? If you want to find talent, why is referral scheme very important for your organization? Because what does the referral scheme do? Your own employees who are working in your own organization, they exactly know what is the organization culture, what type of people can fit. And if you have a great referral scheme, they will give you good people. They will give you quality people, for your organization. And I'll give you again my example. When I was working with Make My Trip, we had an amazing referral scheme, and this really worked well at the junior levels, in some cases senior levels as well. But because the scheme was focused mainly on junior levels, that is where it worked the maximum, and it worked really well. I mean, people were making wonderful amount of money as well. But more than the money, the kind of people they were bringing in was really good and qualitative, and they were a culture fit. The biggest challenge with the organization at that point was it was a fast moving organization. It was a startup, and you require people to culturally fit in out there. And the referral scheme really helped. So the first place to find talent is in your own organization, and that the way to do that is a referral scheme. So if you don't have a great referral scheme, then you need to create one. How to create one? Look at it. That's the options which your organization needs to explore. Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's look at where else can we find. The second, obviously, is in your competition. A dangerous proposition. Why I'm saying dangerous? Because it's a double-edged sword. I mean, you're going to go to your competition, you're going to poach from there, and your competition can do the same for you. So how it is possible is what you have to look at. How, to what extent you should go and you should do that is a decision which I would leave it to you. But that's the second best place, obviously, to find talent is your competition. The third you can look at is in similar industries. Now, this is not exactly in direct competition, but these are industries which have got a similar working style, or which are in similar space as you're operating, and that's where you can. Yeah, there is a non-compete clause for many companies, and so it's if it's a non-compete clause, you can't do that. And ideally, I wouldn't recommend you to really break that clause and do that. Not a good practice, and it's not a good strategy also. These are, by the way, these are all short-term strategies. I'll come up with something which is really, really long-term and good. But short-term strategies, this is what works. Competition, similar industries. You will have to look for people in similar industries who have dealt in similar roles in different kind of industries, and that helps. You can do that for generic roles. Like you can do it for an admin. You can do it for an HR. Yeah, so you can do it for some roles which are quite generic and which are industry agnostic. So it doesn't matter from which industry they come from. You can work at those roles. For specialist roles, you will have to look at someone who has done that kind of a role. You require someone who's done that kind of role, and that you will get only in competition, or only something which really is quite similar to your industry. Yeah. Okay, I'm just clearing some answers. Let me see. Okay, so we've got one comment which says, I'm just going through some comments as well. On work from home point, research shows that productivity of employees working from home has gone down in the last 2 years. Yeah, correct, absolutely right. So productivity was high and it went down. And so we have got both kind of data. Initially, it went up. People were doing good. Then later, people didn't like it. Some people still. So it is a, what I would say, it is a mixed kind of response. Some people still like work from home scenario. They're still able to manage. Not everyone is able to manage. And while in work from home, also some people had their share of challenges. They're saying now I'm working. So in office, I was working for 8 hours. At home, I'm working almost for 14 hours, 14 to 16 hours, because I'm always out there. My boss expects me, to log in because I am at my home. So that was again, a challenge for work from home. But nevertheless, that was the reason at that point of time. The fourth place where you can find talent, and which organizations don't explore, is freelancers, consultants, and people who are coming for temporary roles, who are open to do that, and works very well in the US. In India, also some organizations have started doing that, and they employ freelancers, they employ consultants for specific roles. So you're working for a temporary role. How does this work? There are two ways to look at it. Now, those people who are looking at stability, it will not work. Okay, but there are some people who are looking at, they don't not looking at stability, they're looking at experience. They're looking at I wish to explore, I wish to work on projects, and they work on projects, and that becomes it's to identify those kind of people and to look at, can we use their services to help us. So that's a place which is where you can find talent. And there are organizations again in India, for example, who are using this to a great extent, and there are job sites who focus only on freelancers and consultants, and they provide only freelancers and consultants. There's nothing like permanent job, and working quite well. The sites are working quite well. So this is one kind of pool which you should explore if you have not. Okay, and I'm seeing a lot of these kind of jobs in the area of HR as well. So design and designers and graphic designers, social media, etc. Those are there. Those are anyway there. Okay, but I'm seeing in regular jobs also, a lot of people are now looking at something like working with freelancers and consultants, and that on project basis. And yeah. So, yeah, gig economy. That's right. Yeah, gig economy is what we are for. Okay, let's Okay, let's move ahead. Now, I'll tell you one more thing. People who are not in the job market. Now, this is an area which is a blue ocean area. Have you ever tried to explore that people who are not in the job market, in the organized job market, how to get them there? And I'm going to share with you a case study about it, how it was done, and it was done successfully. It is still running successfully. Okay. And I'll take the name of the company. I'll share this thing because I was part of that. So that happened with Make My Trip. Okay. Now, a travel company, Make My Trip is a travel company which is headquartered in India, Gurgaon. And at that point of time, Make My Trip was growing, and Make My Trip wanted to really push its holiday business. Okay. Now, what happens is if you're buying an airline ticket, you know more or less it's standard. You would go online and you would buy it. You would buy probably a hotel room also online. But if you want to plan a holiday, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't just combine. Though there was an option, Make My Trip had put on the website that you can actually customize, and you can, like a Subway sandwich, you can actually create your own holiday package. But that was not something which was getting sold. And what Make My Trip realized at that point of time is you require people to sell holidays. You can't you can't sell it online. It's tough. Even as of today, when we are speaking, it is still tough. I mean, even if I were to buy a holiday, I would be much comfortable speaking to someone and buying a holiday package than than just going on some website and buying a holiday package. So what did Make My Trip do? They created a special. They tapped that pool which no one had ever thought about. They tapped housewives. What did they do? They said, we will train you. We will train you on how to sell holiday packages, and you have to work from home. This was before pandemic. This was about 8 years ago. I'm talking about, in fact, 10 years ago. Okay, so we will train you. We will tell you how to sell holiday packages, and obviously we have through our portal now. We will get leads. We'll pass on the leads, and you also can sell holiday packages to whomever you want to, and you will get commission for that. And there was a good training program which was organized, and initially there was some stipend also given to these ladies. It was only going to be all ladies. They were going to be and especially when it was all ladies, it was also those who were not working. Okay, so if you're working, then your name wasn't being considered out here, unless you would say, I'm going to quit my job. So no dual, no hustle, no dual jobs, nothing. It was very simple, clear who's our target audience. And they started the batches, and the batches were so successful. And the holidays, actually the sale of holidays started increasing at Make My Trip, thanks to this particular company strategy of employing ladies who are not in the job market. So people who are in the job, not in the job market, can you use them? Can you use them to get them into the job market and look at employing them or recruiting them? There's a lot of talent. And one big area where some organizations are doing it and some job portals are also doing it. Sorry, is getting getting ladies who have just delivered. How to get them back into the job market because they leave and or people who were working earlier, but because they had to take care of their kids, they decided to take a break, and now they want to come back. So this is another area. Yeah. So these are some of the places where you can find talent, but the most important thing is your company building talent. Is it building a talent pipeline? So before you even explore out there, you're the HR heads out here, you need to ask this question: is my organization building a talent pipeline? The biggest and the best place where to find talent is in your own organization, and you can do that by building a talent pipeline. Now, how do you do that? What is the talent pipeline? Is the first stage obviously is to have a succession plan. So do you have a succession plan where you're going to say, okay, for this position, you identify critical positions in your organization, and you say, okay, for this position, who's going to be the next person? And you look for people within your organization. That's the best option. Okay, so have a succession plan in place. Identify high potentials. Identify people who can actually fit into that plan in your succession plan, and develop those high potentials. So you actually start grooming them. So I'll give you another example. So I'm working again with a mid-sized organization, and this mid-sized organization, one of the head of department is about to retire in about 2 years' time. Okay, so still 2 years are there, and today itself they have today in a sense in this before 2 years itself they've identified who's the next person who can take up this person's position within the organization, and now they've started grooming that person to take up that role. So slowly that role of the head is going to be passed on to the next level. Now that's the right way of doing it. You are really grooming that talent, and obviously there's a that talent, the person who they identified is relatively young, so the person is likely to be there in the organization for at least till the time he retires. It's about 10 years at least, so that's a good amount of time. And they've already started grooming him, already been a part of organization for about 7 to 8 years. So this is the way you've got to look at how you're going to develop a high potential. How to attract passive candidates, I'll just come to that. How to attract passive candidates. Okay, so developing high potentials. Also you need to do is you need to develop other than the organization as well. So when you're developing, just don't develop the high potentials, develop all the employees in the organization. And the reason, again, a very what I would say, a statement or a joke which has been going around for a long time, but I think I should repeat it. The CEO, so the head of the organization was focusing on doing trainings for employees, and the CEO then questions the head of that and says, "What's the point of training employees? What would happen if they leave? Our training money is wasted. We train them and then they leave and they join someone else." And the head of HR said, "That's fine. What happens if you don't train them and they stay?" So the cost is bigger if you don't train an employee and he stays in the organization, vis-a-vis if you train him and then he leaves, because then you have trained everyone, so someone or the other is always there. So that's why developing in each and every employee in the organization is pretty critical. That's something which you have got to look at. Yeah. Now let's get to the next one, is how to find the right talent. Okay, so you are looking at all these options, but now you're saying, okay, how to find, and there was a question about how to find passive talents as well. Now, the first step to find the right talent is to look at critical roles in your organization. See where you're going to face talent crunch. That is where you'll have to work really hard in finding talent. Okay, if the role is something where it's pretty generic, a lot of the supply is more than the demand, you will not have challenges in finding the right talent. The challenge you're going to have is where the demand is more, supply is less, where it's a very niche technology, it's a very senior position. So there are going to be some pockets where you're going to face challenge. So first and foremost, the first step is identify that these are going to be my pain points. These are going to be areas where I'm going to face challenges in getting the right talent. So identify those roles. The second is have a proper job description in place. Unfortunately, not many organizations have a job description. And I'll tell you a very interesting incident of how how job descriptions are prepared. And I today also, when I recollect that incident, it still brings smiles to my face. So I was talking to a recruiter, and I asked the recruiter, "How do you prepare job descriptions?" And the recruiter says, "Very simple. I go on these job portals and I check." What is so I know the roles, so I check what people have written and what they have done in those roles, and from there I pick a couple of things and I put it in my job description. And that's how I prepare job descriptions and I put them on the portal. So that means the organization does not have a JD in place, so the recruiter prepares one whenever there's a vacancy, and that's how a job description is put on the website. And so this is what a recruiter says. One of the candidates says, I asked him, "Okay, now you're preparing a resume. What is it that you do?" He said, "Very simple. I customize my resume. So I go to a job description. I find out what exactly is there in the job description. And on the basis of that, I customize my resume." So a recruiter is preparing a job description on basis of what someone has written in his or her resume. And someone is preparing a resume on what someone has written in the job description. So that's a cycle which is going on. And that's unfortunate. You don't prepare JDs that way. There's a process of doing it, and you check with any HR consulting organization. They'll let you know what's exactly the right process of preparing a JD. Okay. The third step is look out for people within the organization. I am stressing a lot more for people within the organization here. Again, I come back, referral scheme, talent pipeline. These are the places to look at for people within the organization. Before you go out, look inside. That's really, really important. And the last is look at outside your organization. Okay. Now, how to look at outside? What is it that you do when you look at outside? You identify people with similar roles. You identify people outside who have similar industries, similar roles. Again, competition obviously is there. Get information about them. So once you have selected, you've said, okay, this is the job for which I'm looking at. I'm looking at a head of HR kind of a job, or I'm looking at a talent management manager. Then I look at people, where exactly can I find those people, and how do you look at it now? How do you get their information? One is social media is a big place to get their information, and most of you may be using a lot of job portals. You may be using social media sites like LinkedIn as well. So get their information. You can get a whole lot of information on LinkedIn about people, and from there obviously begins your search. Now I'll tell you a limitation. A limitation of LinkedIn is that it is a lot people dependent, and that's again something which a recruiters have shared rather, is they say the social media is only as good as the candidate is. Now, what is the meaning of social media is as good as the candidate is? If the candidate doesn't upload his or her information on social media, you don't know it. Okay. So it's as good as the candidate is. If the candidate is active, you will get that information, but you will get something. Okay. Now, once you get it on social media, you have to look at how to connect with the person. How to connect with the person? Number of ways. I'm just going to tell you one or two ways. One is obviously look at the name on the LinkedIn. Name on LinkedIn. If you're able to find out the email address, send a connection request, connect out there. And basically look at ways to connect to the candidate, either through an email or the phone number. There are some websites through which if you get the premium, you can send a direct mail. There are some websites through which you can extract phone numbers from LinkedIn, etc. So you can use that as well. The second space, and obviously you can use Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, etc. to connect to the person. So basically, once you know this is the profile, you have to look at a connection, way to connect to the person. Yeah? A second way of finding the information, which people really don't know, is you go to sites like Monster, and there's a huge database. Okay, you have a job description. You go to a website like a Monster, okay, or a job portal, and you search for resumes in the database. Provided obviously you have taken their subscription, so they will give you access to their database. And from the database, now when you give a search, you search for all. You don't give those who have updated in the last 90 days or whatever. You search for everyone. Someone who has updated maybe a year ago, 2 years ago also. And that's your pool. You will get a whole lot of information. That's where you're going to get a candidate who is not active. First and foremost, how to find out the candidate who's not active? You need to know the name who's not active, isn't it? So you need to search for those and give a search where you get the information of people who have got a similar role and who have not been active for the last 1 year or 2 years, whatever. And you search through the database. Okay. Once you so that's the name to get their information. Now, once you get their information, what you need to do is you need to build a connect with them. Now, this is something which again a recruiter has to do. How do you build a connect? And that's when you start connecting with that person through social media. That's when now there are ways to do that slowly. If the person is a lot senior, first of all you start connecting to social media, then you start liking the person's post if the person is active, or so it can be anywhere, any medium. So whether it's Insta, Facebook, LinkedIn, use any of the social media, start liking and start a little bit of engagement with that person. I'll narrate to you a very interesting story about at Arvind, what one of the talent acquisition, what was the head of talent acquisition, what did the person do to hire a CEO? So one of the businesses, I'm just going to stop my share for a moment. Yeah? So one of the businesses required a CEO, for one of the for it, and obviously the CMD, the chairman managing director, asked the talent acquisition head to recruit a CEO. The talent acquisition head identified a person great caliber, exactly fitting in the role. Okay, but the person was based in a metro city, and this company is not based, it's based in a tier 2 city. No one wants to move from a metro city to a tier 2 city, and that too you're moving from a state which is prosperous to another state which is not that great or industrialized. Okay, I would just say that. And what did the talent acquisition head do? First, developed a connect and started talking to the person. Then, because part of talent acquisition, the person who was very senior must have spoken a little bit. And then they actually, the person said, okay, let's just meet for this thing. I just want to meet and interact with you, nothing specific to offer. Initially, obviously, the person refused, but persisted. Finally, a meeting was agreed. There was nothing, no agenda in place, just a meeting. Okay. And in the meeting, obviously, by that time, a lot of connect was developed. In the meeting, obviously, there was a pitch which was made. Okay, why don't you look at this? This is the opportunity which we have. Again, when you're making the pitch, it was a very low pitch. You don't need to do anything. You just need to come and have the meeting. There is nothing which you have to do. Just what's the harm in meeting? See, that's how you have got to do it. Initially you develop a connect, then you slowly pitch, then you meet the person and just say, okay, why don't you meet? And obviously the meeting was with the chairman and managing director. And in that meeting with the chairman and managing director, obviously the candidate was impressed, okay, with the CMD. What happened in the meeting, no one knows, because it's only between those two people. But later on, what we know was the person joined as the CEO. Okay, but the build up was very, very important for that. So that's where the talent acquisition person's role comes in. How do you build up that connect? Yeah, so the person may join, may not join, we don't know, but that build up, if you develop that connect, you have really done a lot of a foundational work to get the candidate on board. Yeah, fine. Great, so far so good. Yeah. Let's look at a couple of more things which you have to do, and I'm going to share with you one more or two more insights. One is what you need to also do is you need to identify the aspirations of the candidate and career anchors. Whenever you're looking at finding a talent, look at what aspiration, what does a person look at, and that you can get only by talking to the person. And these are not direct questions like what are your aspirations. So these are like you talk about the job, you talk about what great opportunities the job is going to bring, and you talk about what the person is currently doing and find out what excites the person. And that is where you find out the excitement and find out what are the career anchors of that person. So when you say career anchors, it's basically a career anchor is something, why am I doing whatever I'm doing? So my career anchor could be a company, a great company or a great brand. That's something which attracts me. So I work only for great brands like a Microsoft or Google or a Facebook. So these are the brands which I want to work with. Or my career anchors could be a lifestyle. So I want to work only with an advertising industry, or I want to be only into sales. My career anchor could be a challenging job. So I want to be into sales. I want to have challenges. So what is a career anchor? What is keeping the person hooked to that job? Now that is very, very important information. And that can be got through a number of things where all the person has worked in the past. From there, you can look at a pattern. So there is a pattern of which a person has got. Look at what patterns the person is bringing in. And that gives you a lot of insights to then look at, okay, how can I get this person, or how can I attract this person to my organization? Is my job or is the role which I'm offering giving him something which he or she desires? Yeah. So this is the most important thing when you're finding the right talent or attracting the right talent. Are those career anchors, are those aspirations matching what you're offering? Is that something which you want? Okay. Yeah. Let's move ahead. So, okay, you found the right talent. How do you get the talent? How do you attract the talent to your organization? The question which comes in, what is your employee value proposition? And I hope all of you are aware of that is, what is it that you're offering your employees? That's what it is. Now, there was a study which was done by McKinsey about what is the employee value proposition, and they have said that, but the study was 10 years ago, and I'll tell you how that study has shifted to what it was to what it is. Yeah. So earlier people were looking at great leaders. Now what prospective employees are looking at is influential leaders. Yeah. Why did people work for Steve Jobs? He was not a great boss, but people worked for him. He was influential. He was someone who was a pioneer. People will work for Elon Musk, even though he may not be the best amongst whatever is leadership capabilities we have found out. You're working for a leader. So if you're working for a leader of that stature, people would definitely love and join the leader. So one is work with a great leader, and that's something again what we did again at Make My Trip. When we're hiring people for senior leadership, we would say, okay, you're working with the CEO Deep Kalra. He was known. He's still known. He was known at that point of time. So people really like to work with Make My Trip. Okay, that's one point. The second is a great company versus an agile company. Initially, people were looking for a great company. Today, they're looking for an agile company. Is your company agile? How fast are decisions made in your organization? There is no red tape, so just to give you an example, again, I'm using the Indian example. This is how people look at in job market. You want stability, you want to work in a relaxed atmosphere, go in a Reliance. You want really fast moving, you want challenges, don't go in Reliance, go in some startup which is there. One of my colleagues who got an excellent opportunity from one of Reliance's Reliance's company, which was GeoMart, and that person actually took a lot of time to take decisions, and that was not the first preference. Preferred to work in some startups earlier, and rather than a Reliance Jio. So that's how people are going to take calls. Okay, so is your company agile? So what works is you have to look at this in organizations. A great job versus satisfying career. Are you offering people satisfying career? Are you offering a great job was some time ago. Now people are looking at careers. What is it that how are you going to help them in ensuring that at the end of their career they feel satisfied? And the great reward versus flexible benefits. Today people are looking at flexible benefits. I would go and say, it's customized benefits. Are you offering me something which is really helping me, or something that suits my requirements? So in terms of flexible holidays, in terms of maybe a work from home, in terms of what are the other flexible things which are being offered. Yeah. So I'm just going to stop my share. So these are the things which you have, when you are attracting right talent. This is what. So some things is what your organization has to do. Some things is what you have to do as an individual. Something is what as policies you'll have to set to ensure that you're able to attract the right talent. Fine. So that's something which I wanted to share actually, and now we have got time. We have got. Let's keep it open for question answers. I'm going to take some questions which are there in the chat. I've got one question. You type the questions in the Q&A. Please don't type them in the chat, because then you get very little. Some questions may just go up. How to attract passive candidates? Yeah, this is what something. Yeah. Okay. Now, I'll just come to that. Just hold on, Kunal. So one question is how to attract passive candidates. And I told you passive candidates, you've got to couple of things. First, go and look for who are these passive candidates. You have to identify them. And as I said, build, build that connect, build that connect. You have got to talk to that person. And initially you talk about, you can actually work around building a connect first through social media and getting to talk to that person. And after you do that, then you start pitching in. Have a meeting, initially just request for a meeting, then you pitch in, then you say, okay, have a meeting with one of my seniors, and you can say no, you don't need to join us. So that's how you do it. Get the person to meet, get the person to take a first step, and you always show that, this is not something which you want to do. We are okay with it. You can anytime walk back. Always say you can anytime walk back. And that's how you get the person excited. And while you're doing all this, you find out what are the career anchors, what are the aspirations of the candidate, and that's how you can get it. That's how you attract passive candidates. Yeah. Okay. It all boils down to CTC at the end of the day. It will boil down to CTC at the end of the day, provided the question is what else are you offering. And if the candidate is looking at only money and nothing else, okay, so you have to actually sell the other points more than the CTC. I'll give you an example of, again, Make My Trip. We were not the best paying company when I was working out there, but we used to pay decent. Okay, it was not bad. If you're paying bad, that is, you're paying really, really low, then it's going to be difficult. But if you're paying decent, the question is what else are you offering? We always sold about what else do we do, and it was about the values of the organization, fun at work. It was about we ensured that we really The company focused on its branding. So great places to work in the top 5 for 3 years in a row. That is how the company was. So all these things we used to talk about, and that is what excited people, and that's why they used to join. I mean, that's so you create, you talk about other things which your organization has, and that's how you take care of the CTC. Now, my colleague out here who said, this company is offering this much, what are you offering? You have to tell him what other things am I offering. You can't just talk about money. Other than money, what is it that you offer? Okay, and if you have known the candidate enough, what he wants to do, you can actually look at whatever you're offering, is that matching his or her aspirations. Yeah. How to identify skill set of an individual? For that, the best place to do is you will have to do a behavioral event. So couple of things to do. One is look at doing psychometric test. Okay, if your organization is doing psychometric, you get certain data points as to how an individual is. However, having said that, please don't make a mistake of selecting or rejecting a candidate on the basis of psychometric tests. Psychometric tests are just data points. So use a psychometric test to identify how a candidate is, validate that in an interview with the help of a behavioral event interview. So you validate that. Okay, a behavioral event interview is something which helps you to identify the behavior of a person. So it's not just normally you're asking, okay, what are you good at, what are you bad at? You're actually checking for specific behaviors by looking at events, in the candidate's career, which whether whatever he or she is saying is supported by events, and that's the way you will get a fair amount of idea of whether the candidate is suitable or not. Yeah, and that is what good organizations are doing. They use these 2-3 methods. One is obviously you looked at resume, you look at profile, you look at everything, but again they do psychometric, then they do a behavioral event interview, and that's how they hire. How to retain talent in the organization? Retaining talent, just quickly I will cover it. If you want to retain talent, you have got to look at why will a person stay with you? The person looking at growth, and growth in all sense, growth and not just in terms of just designations, though that is something which people look at, but growth in terms of also in terms of new roles, in terms of what more I can contribute to, what more I can learn. Learning opportunities, are there enough? And that's what a person wants in a career, isn't it? I want to learn, I want to higher roles and responsibilities, and I'm also looking at a package, provided what I'm giving is helping the organization. Yeah. Okay. How to deal with offer shopping? My personal suggestion is, if people are dealing with offer shopping, you should not get into it. That's not the talent which you want in your organization. Don't ever get into that. So someone is saying, if this is giving that much, this is what we are offering, how much are you giving? And then they give you a counter offer. So you get into negotiations. As discounting doesn't work to attract customers, just on the basis of salary, if you're trying to retain someone, it will not work in the long term. Short term, you will be able to retain it. Long term, if you're giving whatever 2x, someone else will tomorrow give 3x and your talent is gone. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. How to discourage from getting counter offers? Discourage, you can't discourage them from getting counter offers. You can discourage them from joining in counter companies. And again, I'll narrate an incident to you. What you need to do is you need to show them what is it for them in this organization and how they can actually help. That's the only thing which you can do. You can talk about the people of the organization. You can talk about you can talk about how the person is enjoying his or her work in this organization, and what is it that we have got to offer. So they may get a counter offer which is 2x, but why is that counter offer? How that counter offer is not worth it, provided it is genuinely not worth it. Okay. If it's genuinely worth it and you know that that's being the best for the person, don't even get into it, because the person then can read through you. So don't try to do that. You have to be genuine with them. Okay, I'm just taking a couple of questions. We still have some time. Yeah, so you have given an offer, they come back and they say they have another offer. The question is, see, you will have candidates. The question which comes always is that if what about if the candidate who is backing off, or the candidate who last moment who says that I am not joining? What do we do that? So there are no shows. What do you do that? No shows are there in all types of organizations, but again, we had devised a very interesting strategy to come up with no shows from the day the offer is given and accepted. From the day the offer is accepted, till the time the candidate joins. We would have one recruiter who would talk to the candidate every day, and we would ensure that we engage with the candidate. So by the time the offer is accepted, you have got to ensure that what is your engagement till the time the candidate joins, and do you exactly know what is happening with the candidate? So he has resigned, and now the candidate is making preparations to come out here. What is happening? So a recruiter would talk to the candidate. So typically, let's say if it's a 1 month notice period, typically a recruiter would talk to the candidate every week, once every week. And that was a mandate which was given to recruiters. And they would also send them information about the organization. Okay, that we are doing this, we are doing this, we are doing this. This is what happened in the organization. So you're creating that excitement. And if you create that excitement, obviously a candidate, will not look at other offers. Yeah, that is what will not look at. Okay, now I'm going to take some questions from the Q&A. How do you think retention works in the view of great resignation? Retention, yeah, retention will work in the view in the great resignation. You need to look at again, identify your top talent, and for your top talent, what is working from them, what is working for them. How are you engaging your top talent? Are you giving them learning opportunities? Are you giving them growth opportunities? So in the great resignation, retention will work if you are engaging with your talent. What happens is there's no talent engagement which happens. And when I say talent engagement, it is not that fun Fridays. Okay. So those fun Fridays and those games and those offsites, no, talent engagement is about how you genuinely develop and work with your talent so that the talent grows. So you identify those people. So I'll again give you an example. Again, I'm giving the example of Make My Trip because that's where the work was done. Is we've identified 35 senior people, critical roles, and we said how do we engage and develop them, and we developed a special program for them. And so there was an assessment center. We identified what are the gaps which they need to work on. We did a development center, so we did training for them. There were mentoring sessions for them which were organized not only from people within the organization but from also people outside the organization. So there was a lot of engagement which happened, and because of that, of those 30, did people leave? Some of them left. Yes, definitely you're going to have some attrition, and you have to be okay with it. But majority of them stayed, and they helped the organization grow. So in an organization which is really growing, you require people to be there, and you require people to fuel that growth. If you have constantly people who are moving in and out, then it becomes a challenge for the organization. Yeah. How to beat salary expectations? I think I've answered. Give them something else. How to make the use of technology to attract top talent? Technology, you can only make use of technology if the person is from the other side. If the person who's joining in has really opened himself on social media. You can use, there are technology available to, once the person is on social media, you can actually get a person's phone number, email address. There are websites which offer you that. I don't want to tell the names out here, but there are enough websites which offer you that, and that is the way to develop connect. Once you develop the connect, you build that connect, and that's how you attract. That's the way to go about it. How to keep employees motivated? A big thing, I'll just tell how to keep employees motivated. You have to look at doing multiple things. What motivates an employee? Okay, this is the last question which I'm going to take. There are a whole lot of questions, and I guess I'm running out of time. It's already 4 o'clock. Okay, and so this is the last question. For motivation of employees, what you need to do is you need to focus on how are you engaging the employees with respect to their work. Are you offering them enough opportunities at work? Are you helping them grow? Are you creating enough learning opportunities for them? And are you building a strong bond or connect? So 4 things. Are you building a strong bond or connect for them within the organization? When I go to work, if I like the people whom I work with, I'm more likely to stay out there rather than move out. Yeah, so these are some of the questions. If you have more questions, you can write into me or you can write into Monster, and we look at answering those questions. Okay, so yeah, we have many questions in the chat box too. How to sell work? You don't talk to every day. You talk once every week, okay, with the candidate. Every day would be just too much, and that too after the person accepted the offer. Before that, you'll have to develop continuous connect. Yeah. Candidates are asking for work from home. I'll just answer this question. Elon Musk, I hope you have seen his mail. He says we don't have any work from home. You have to come to office and work. That is what Elon Musk is saying. You can do work from home only in some industries. You can't do that in manufacturing. You can do it in service. You can do it in consulting, but you can't do it everywhere. Yeah. So with that, I think I will wrap up my session. Thank you very much. It was nice interacting with you. I'm sorry there are a whole lot of questions, but in that limited 15 minutes, I could only answer so much. Okay, and yeah. So I'm available on LinkedIn and other social media. You can definitely connect with me. We can have a lot more chat out there. Okay, or we can continue the chat out there.
Well, thank you so much, Manish. It was absolutely a brilliant session, and thank you so much for carrying out and maintaining that energy thoroughly. I guess it was absolutely fantastic. I was completely charged up, and I guess the questions were just flowing through, and it clearly shows that there needs to be a part 2 too. So
definitely, and we can put this. I think we have recorded it. We can put it on the Monster site, isn't it? People are asking for it. Is that something which we can do?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the recording would be there on YouTube, Monster YouTube site. Yeah, you can go and you can check that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Manish. It was an absolute pleasure to have you out here. I guess we should do many more sessions like these as well. Totally appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much again. And since we are going to now go ahead and wrap up this session for today, well, as always, as I mentioned at the end, feedback is extremely important. So I'd love to hear out from you guys. Once you end the session, you'll be getting a feedback link. Please do take that feedback. And thank you so much for attending that session today. It was a pleasure assisting all of you. Thank you so much as well. Again, Manish, totally appreciate that. Signing off today. Thank you so much, all of you. Have a brilliant weekend ahead. See you again in the next episode. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everyone.